Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Guys, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People, where people seem to think that they can do whatever they want and deserve special treatment because they're so cute. Guys, I hope you're having another fabulous day today. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, parents being terrible parents is the theme of today's episode. So if you guys know someone who's a terrible parent, just send them this video. I'm just kidding, guys. I hope you guys enjoy the stories today and do hit that subscribe button for future stories. Okay, so buckle up because this is a doozy. So I work for a pet sitting company and had a new client on my schedule for 3 visits a day for 2 weeks to take care of a dog. When I get to the house, I go in to see a kid and thought that they must be running late leaving and didn't let us know. So I say hi to the kid and said don't be scared and then called out for the parents. The kid said they're gone. I asked, what do you mean they're gone? The kid then said that I needed to hurry up and make her breakfast and take her to school. I then asked again, what do you mean? Where's your parents? She said they were gone on their trip and again told me to hurry up because she's hungry and late for school. I then asked how old she is and she said 7. I asked her, so they left you home alone? She said yeah. Her mom told her we'd be by in the morning to make her breakfast and take her to school, and then in the afternoon to pick her up from school and make her a snack, and at night to make her supper. I then asked her, so where's Macy, the dog I'm supposed to take care of? Now, this is the point where my jaw drops. The little girl said her family doesn't have a dog. So I tell the little girl, what do you mean you guys don't have a dog? I tell her when my coworker came to their house a few days ago to meet the dog and get the house keys, she was told a dog lived here. The girl then says, oh, mommy borrowed the neighbor's dog that day. Oh my goodness. I called the company owner and told her what's going on, and of course, she was flabbergasted and came over immediately. She tried to get a hold of the kid's parents, but they weren't answering their phones, so she calls CPS and explains everything when they got there. CPS took the kid, the parents' info, and then they left. So I guess the day after, CPS or someone got a hold of the kid's parents because the girl's mom called the owner and left a very angry, rambling message, saying, how could we turn her kid into CPS? She also said she would sue us for breaking the pet sitting contract, and they expect us to also pay for their ruined vacation. The owner called them back and told them that our agreement was to take care of a dog, not a 7-year-old girl, and what she did was very illegal. And also, borrowing a dog for her to meet for the client meeting was deliberate misrepresentation, so good luck with a lawsuit. She hasn't heard from them since. I guess our pet sitting service was cheaper than hiring someone to watch a child. We still can't understand how this woman thought that this would actually work. At that point, the parents definitely deserved to have CPS called. The pet sitting service wasn't even a 24-hour one. They were just popping by 3 times a day to check in on the dog and feed it. Like, I can't believe the parents were planning on leaving their 7-year-old basically alone for 2 weeks. Guys, I wish I could say I'm shocked, but I'm not. I've read so many stories about terrible parents who abandon their kids so they can go on vacation or do whatever the heck they want to do. With that said, if you haven't heard this story on the channel, a mom abandons her child to go on a cruise and gets rewarded 15 years in prison. I'm going to link that right here if you guys haven't heard it and you want to check it out after. If you think that babysitting story is entitled, wait until you hear this one. So, this story is a weird one. It's not my story, but a friend who messaged me right after it happened to vent. So, this woman, who we'll call Karen, moved into the apartment next to my friend's a couple of weeks ago. Now, Karen has struck up short, polite conversations with my friend just 2 times in that period, with the second time being yesterday, the day before this whole fiasco unfolded. This morning, at about 9 a.m., while my friend was having a nice Saturday breakfast, someone started aggressively banging on her front door. Now, when my friend answered, Karen was standing there with her 5-year-old daughter who had a backpack on. Sounding very flustered, Karen said she was sorry to have to ask this with no notice, but could my friend watch her for a few hours because Karen had somewhere really important to be. Now, something you need to understand about my friend is that she can't stand kids, and she has no idea how to deal with them. Like, she tenses up and gets super awkward if a kid so much as waves at her in the supermarket. And my friend is also disabled. She uses a motorized wheelchair to get around, and a walking cane for short distances, or when she's just going around her own home. Her chronic illnesses involve fainting spells and a lot of brain fog, so by her own account, she's absolutely not someone who should be left in charge of a child. So my friend responds with a firm no, explaining that her medical conditions meant that Karen's daughter would not be safe in her care, and that she's not well enough at the moment to have any guests, let alone an unattended kid. Now with this, Karen immediately flips, from pleading to hand-on-hip indignation, at this point accusing my friend of faking her disabilities. Because of course, if she can walk at all, then she obviously doesn't actually need a wheelchair, right? And she's not disabled. Karen then threatens to report her to Centrelink, which is welfare, if my friend didn't watch her daughter. Never mind the fact that my friend isn't on welfare. Her spouse has a high-paying job, and my friend works somewhere between part-time and full-time hours from home most weeks. And newsflash, not all disabled people are unable to work. So my friend basically says, I'm not on Centrelink, and I don't appreciate being blackmailed. If you're heading down that path, please know that you're barking up the wrong tree. Find a babysitter because I am not it. She then closed her door, and Karen kept banging on the door for a bit, but eventually she left. About 20 minutes later, my friend heard a very faint, timid tapping on her front door. She said if she hadn't been so close to it, she probably wouldn't have heard it. She sighed heavily, having kind of already guessed what was happening. She opens the door, and there was Karen's daughter, who clearly had been crying, clutching the shoulder straps of her little backpack, saying, "Mommy said I could stay here today. I have to stay here." Now, like I said, my friend cannot stand kids, but even she said that Karen's daughter was an absolute darling through this whole entire fiasco, and the most she ever did was cry because her mother is clearly a goddamn monster. Now, Karen had driven off and sent her daughter to my friend's door, clearly thinking that if she left my friend with no alternative, that she would just play along and babysit the kid for her, especially since my friend had literally no way of contacting Karen. Well, that was wrong. Now, my friend had escaped abusive parents at a young age, and this had made her furious. She got Karen's daughter settled in front of the TV with a drink and some snacks, and then she called the police. She said, "Yeah, so my neighbor just abandoned her 5-year-old daughter outside of our apartment, and the kid showed up at my door asking to come inside." When the officers arrived, my friend told them the full story, and while they were appalled, she said they weren't surprised. One officer even said to her, "You'd be shocked at how often this happens," which is honestly kind of the worst part of all this. The officers then took Karen's kid with them and were really sweet with her, explaining to her that she wasn't in any trouble and she had done the right thing, and that they were there to look after her and find out where her mummy had gone. So my friend found out later that they were able to contact the kid's father, who is currently working on finalizing a divorce from Karen, and he was also appalled, but not remotely surprised by what she'd done. Here's to hoping he gets full custody of the poor kid after all this. Ugh, what's terrifying, guys, is that the officer said this kind of stuff happens often. So OP does come back with a few updates, and here they are. So OP says, I messaged my friend asking if she had any updates, and oh boy, that was an emphatic yes. So this morning, she had another knock on her door, and it was the dad with the daughter in tow. He went there to apologize for what his ex had done and thanked my friend for watching his daughter and for calling the police. My friend said he seemed like a good guy, who was clearly putting his kid first in all this, which was really reassuring to hear. He told my friend that, according to his lawyer, her calling the police and handling everything the way she did would basically be a gift-wrapped custody battle win for him, because what kind of court would ever grant Karen custody after the crap she pulled? His lawyer was over the moon when the dad called him. My friend also asked the dad what had been so important that Karen had to abandon her own daughter over it. And are you guys ready for this? It's so goddamn cliche. It was an appointment at a nail salon. She'd brought her daughter several times previously and just demanded that the staff babysit her and refused to even acknowledge the kid during her me time. When she called yesterday morning to book a last-minute appointment, the staff put their foot down and told her that she could no longer bring her kid to the appointment and would be refused service if she did. So yeah, she abandoned her daughter because she wanted her me time getting her nails done. The dad told my friend that me time is an excuse that Karen uses to ignore her kid, basically anytime she feels like it. And apparently she always tells her daughter, "Do not talk to me during my me time." The dad also asked my friend if she would be okay with helping him with his custody battle. He said he understood that her health isn't great and that his lawyer said that a written statement would be fine. He said while it probably wasn't essential since they had the police report, he wanted to have as much evidence on his side as possible just to be sure, and of course my friend agreed. Karen hasn't yet shown up to my friend's door to scream at her, so my friend's thinking that maybe dealing with the police actually put some fear of consequence into her. We'll see. Karen leaving her daughter with a random stranger whom she's known for 2 weeks is bonkers, guys, and what's even more bonkers is that she left to go to a nail appointment. It wasn't even something, like a medical emergency. Guys, I'm so glad the dad is gonna win this custody battle because a little 5-year-old just being neglected like that while mommy has her me time is just freaking heartbreaking. This happened when I was about 11 years old. I played for a local girls soccer team as the goalie. We went up against another local team in the county tournament. This team had a girl on it who we'll call Natalie. Natalie's mother Karen was a known problem, typical hardcore soccer mom. She'd scream if her daughter was so much as touched, and had been known to be threatening to both parents and players. Now, Natalie herself was lovely. We'd actually known each other from school. There was a friendly sort of rivalry between us, and that's the best kind in my opinion. So, about halfway through the first half, Natalie came at goal, and we ended up both going for the ball at the same time. Her foot connected hard with my ankle, and I immediately knew it was broken. Natalie saw that something was immediately wrong and helped me to the ground, yelling for help. When I looked down, my foot was at a very strange angle. Both coaches helped me off the pitch while Natalie was beside me holding my hand while I was crying. Other players were gathering around, but the coaches told them to step back and to give me more space. My parents appeared and sat with me while my team's coach called for an ambulance. And at this point, Karen appears. I hear her before I see her. Karen says, "What's going on? Natalie, get back on the field. You have a game to win." Natalie looks at her mom and says, "Mom, Opie's ankle is broken. I want to stay with her. I'll be red carded anyway." Now, for those that don't know, usually if there's a foul, you'd get a yellow card, and 2 yellow cards cause you to be red carded and sent off. However, if a foul is particularly bad or causes some serious injury, you are red carded straight away. Karen then screams, "Red carded? Why? Because she didn't get out of the way in time? Yeah, right." Now at this point my mom says, "No, because it happened. I don't think Natalie meant for it to happen, but it still did." Karen then says, "Well, I think your daughter did this on purpose to make Natalie look bad. I bet she's faking it." Now me, still crying and too much in pain for patience, said, "If you think I can make my ankle bend that way, then you're stupid." Karen then says, "Huh, how dare you?" She then turns to the coach and says, "I want the police here too, for defamation of my daughter's character." At this point, the referee comes over to check how I'm doing and let Natalie know that she's red carded. Now, Natalie doesn't seem to care, but her mom explodes. Karen says, "You can't red card my daughter. Red card her. In fact, ban her from the game. She's doing this on purpose. Look." Now, Karen then proceeds to kick my ankle with her foot. Now, she doesn't kick it that hard, but I'm screaming in agony because of the break. I scream and my mom jumps to take her on. The other team's coach had to get between them to stop a fight. An ambulance shows up during this and the paramedics come to help me. They managed to get both Natalie and I laughing and help secure my ankle so as not to cause any more injury. My dad told them about what her mom had done, and one of the paramedics shook her head and said, "Ugh, you can't help stupid, I guess." The police also showed up while I was being sorted out. I didn't see this part, but I was told about it by the other players later. Karen starts screaming that my mom and I should be arrested for defamation. However, after being told by several witnesses what happened, she was arrested for assault. I was then taken to the hospital in the ambulance, my mom riding with me and my dad driving the family car. It turned out that I had a break in 2 places in my ankle. I had to wear a cast for 6 weeks, and I missed a lot of school. Natalie and the other members of both teams came to visit me at home the following days. As for her mom, she was cautioned and released, but she was issued with a lifetime touchline ban by the team's coach. She apparently tried to show up at a couple of games, but other parents made her leave again. Thankfully, Natalie is still lovely, and we remain friends to this day. Okay guys, so first of all, I want to say that if that were my child who had a broken ankle, and some random ass parent decided to test it by giving it a swift kick, guys, I might have to rip their legs off. Okay, seriously though, assault on a minor and wanting OP and her mom arrested for defamation of her daughter's character is ridiculous. Like, okay there lady, you need to relax. Your daughter's only 11 years old. But I do love the fact that Natalie and OP are friends though, and she stuck by OP's side even though her mom was being a crappy human being. So, for some context, I'm a 23-year-old male who lives alone. I also practice nudism, and I'm naked about 80% of the time that I'm at home. So, this morning, I wake up and went about my usual stuff. Still naked, I noticed that the kitchen bin was rather full. I had a rather large delivery dinner the night before, and it was utter chaos in there. So I take the bag, tie it up, and throw on my bathrobe to take the bag outside to the bins by the road. It was a crisp 3 degrees Celsius this morning, so I didn't want to be out there for too long. I ran out, threw the bag into the garbage bin, and just as I was heading back up the pathway to my front door, I hear a, "Hey, you, what the hell are you doing?" I rolled my eyes, took a deep breath in, and turned around and said, "Yeah." Karen says, "Are you wearing anything under that robe?" I ask her, why does that matter? Now, I know it was done up correctly. I double knotted the tie-up thing just to make sure of it, and wrapped it very tightly around me so it couldn't slip open in any way. And Karen says, "Well, are you?" I told her, "I don't think that's any concern of yours. I'm just putting my garbage." Karen then interrupts me and says, "That means you're naked under that robe? That's illegal." I told her, no it's not. I'm covered, so it is legal. So as I turn away to open my door, she marches up the path and starts to scream at me. Karen says, "You are naked under there. That's illegal. I'm calling the police. It's damaging to kids." I said to her, "Is it? Wearing a bathrobe is damaging to children, is it?" "Sure." I tell her I've done nothing wrong here, and Karen with a grunt screams that she's gonna report me to police. Well, it's about 8 p.m. now, so no sign of the police, unless they take 13 hours to respond. I think she was either BSing me, or the police told her that she's wasting their time. Now, while being naked under the bathrobe outside is not illegal, it might be considered odd, I suppose. But I didn't see the point in putting anything else on for a 2-minute task before being naked once I was back inside. I was fully covered up, so I don't see what the heck her problem was at all. Well, her problem is that entitled people love telling others how to live their life. They love to police, and here's a little secret that Karen might not know. Underneath the clothes that she's wearing, she's completely naked, so maybe OP should have called the police on her as well. Unless there's some unknown rule that I don't know of. Are you allowed to wear bathrobes outside? And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our /entitled people. Guys, we survived another episode, and I hope you enjoyed the stories in this one. If you guys missed yesterday's episode on the channel, it's a great revenge. A woman tries to pull an insurance scam on OP by backing her car into his and calling police, and OP teaches her a lesson that she'll never forget. So check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you.